Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to look at the finished InWin 101C build. Okay, so this is the InWin 101C desktop ATX case from InWin, obviously, and this is my finished build. Now, in the build here, we've got a Ryzen 7 1700X mounted on an Asus Prime X370 motherboard, and we've got a GeForce GTX 970 graphics card and a whole selection of fans. Now, talking of fans, at the bottom of the case there's mounting options for 3 120mm fans, which I've got currently populated with the Polaris RGB fans, which you can select a daisy chain mode, so you can just daisy chain the fans to take your RGB light in all the way through your rig. Now, you'll probably notice the fans in the back here on this cooler. This is a 240mm cooler. That is the ID Cooling Aurora Sync RGB, which is all connected up to the same RGB headers on the motherboard. There's only one header, but there's splitters included with both the fans, the case, and also the cooler itself. So connecting up all the RGB wasn't a problem at all. But the only downside is, unfortunately, the fans on the Aurora Sync are a little bit on the noisy side, and I'm not sure if you're picking it up on the microphone, but if I stop them, there's a definite change in the tone, so I'm definitely going to have to replace those fans at some point with the Polaris fans just to keep it all looking the same, which I think will be nice. And the same goes for the rear fan, which is currently a fractal design fan, which is a good, quiet fan, but it could do with a little bit more RGB over in that corner. So let's talk about how easy it was to build in this case. Now, it was very easy for the front side, although this case does require a kind of a complete change in thought process of how you build a PC. Due to the power supply now being in this attic area rather than being a traditional basement area, the whole wiring scheme has to be rethought out, because all your cables are going to be coming from the top and then coming down to the various components on the motherboard. Now, there's one or two things on this case that I would have liked to have seen improved, which we'll go into. One of which is in the top of the base, the top of the attic. There isn't an actual area to bring down through cables for the 8-pin ATX connector for CPUs, which would have been a nice addition. Unfortunately, that's got to be routed along and down through. It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it would have been nice to have seen another little cable exit a little bit closer to that EPS connector. Now, moving along the top of the attic area, the InWin drive bays, which are very nice, easy to use, and they just unclip and you can take your drives out. I would have liked to have seen some rubber mountings in there for older style hard disk drives, because there is a very slight resonance coming through the chassis due to that drive rotational speed. Unfortunately, that is the nature of the beast of rotational devices. They do tend to have a kind of like a resonance. Now, if I move the case slightly, the pitch does change, so there is something in there which is resonating, which I'm going to look into doing. Maybe put some rubber grommets on the bottom of the hard drive just to try and remove some of that. Although, again, a lot of the resonance coming from this case at the moment is down to these two fans here. It does completely change the tone of the case. So if you're wanting something completely silent, or as silent as you can possibly get it, then I would suggest trying to stick to either good quality fans, such as these Polaris RGBs, and populate the whole system with those. It will make life a lot easier for wiring and cabling as well. So motherboard wise, like I said, this is the Asus A370 Pro Prime, fitted in there, no problems whatsoever, and you can see there's plenty of room between the connectors and the wiring grommet holes, which aren't grommeted, but you know what I mean. Graphics card wise, again, that was a slight challenge because of the way that the cabling is routed from the top. I had to sort of carefully work out how much length I had on the cable to power the graphics card. Again, it would have been nicer to have maybe another option of taking the cable perhaps behind the motherboard, but the space behind the motherboard is actually quite narrow, so again, you do have to plan out your cable wiring quite well, and you may find a few challenges in there if you've got thicker cables or a lot of cables to bunch together, but we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But overall, the layout and the design of this, I really like. The intake at the bottom, which is fully filtered, there's a removable filter at the bottom, with these 3 120mm fans, brings a lot of fresh air, and obviously with convection, hot air rises, so with the cool air coming in at the bottom, you've got cool air coming in and the hot air is rising and then being exhausted through these two side fans here, the rear fan there, and also the fan in the power supply. So temperatures in this case are actually really good. I've compared this with my Corsair 750D chassis, which is a lot bigger chassis. It's a full-size ATX, and temperature-wise I haven't seen any differences between the two, although that was using 140mm fans rather than 120mm. So this layout in this chassis is actually doing a really good job of keeping thermals under control. Now when it comes down to aesthetics, or the general looks of the chassis, I think this has got a really original look to it, with the 3 fans at the bottom and these 2 fans here blowing out the back. It actually gives a really different look to your PC chassis. So if you're looking to do something for modding, or just to have on as a display item on your desk, this is a great choice. Traditionally you'd normally see radiators either being flat mounted at the front or flat mounted at the top. It's a very rare thing to see a radiator in this style. And again, if you've got RGB fans or any kind of fancy fans, it really is going to show them off to their best. And talking of looks, at the moment obviously the chassis, you can see I haven't got the glass front panel on, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on now just to show you, but it was picking up some reflections from the lighting which I wanted you to be able to see actually inside it. So I'm going to go and put the side glass panel on now so you can take a look at it. Now the glass panel is a very thin, I think it's about 3mm thick tempered glass, and it fits in the case. There's little teeth, or whatever you want to call them, at the bottom, which fit nicely into the base of the chassis. Not easy to do from a side view, and you're never going to lose the screws to attach this because they're push on. So you just push it closed and press those tabs in, and that's it, you're done. And as you can see, the glass, although there is a smoke tint to it, it's not overly dark, so you can still see your RGB goodness shining through. Hopefully there's not too many reflections on it, so you can get a good look at it. So that's pretty much it for the front of the chassis. Let's turn it around and show you the back. Okay, so this is the back side, or whatever side you want to call it really. And as you can see, it's got the InWin sort of honeycomb effect on the back there. This is the ventilation for the all-in-one cooler, or the 120mm fans, wherever you choose to mount them there. I think this is a really good idea. It's not completely open, it's not completely closed, there's plenty of airflow coming through there, so you're going to be able to exhaust the heat from the system pretty easily, and I think it looks actually really nice. You could almost have that on show. The kind of optical illusion of the press outs is actually quite hypnotic when you look at it. You can sort of look at it from different angles, and it changes the look every direction you look, which is really nice. Again, we've got captive thumb screws on the top of the side panel to make it nice and easy to remove, and again you've got the little feet at the bottom which slot into the slots on the side. So there's a better look at the panel and the push outs. Hopefully you can pick that up, but there is actually a lot of ventilation here. It's surprising, it looks like it's pretty closed off, but the ventilation is actually very good. Okay, so this little rat's nest in the back is my attempt at doing a clean wiring job. Now, it's by no means perfect, and I probably could spend a little bit longer on it to make it look a little bit nicer, but I thought I'd give you guys an idea of what you can achieve. So in the top, power supply wise, I've got the Rio Toro Onyx 650 watt, which is a semi-modular power supply, and it actually isn't very deep at all, but you can actually get up to a 200mm power supply in there quite easily. And even though you can see quite a lot of cables here at the moment, there is actually a ton of room there, so you could stuff as many cables in there as you want, and you don't have to worry about air or ventilation because it's coming from the bottom and out the rear, so that area there can get as much heat or as little airflow as you see fit. So moving around, these are the mounting areas for the hard disk drive. So I've got SSD in the top slot, hard disk drive in the slot below it. Now ideally that's suitable for 2 hard disk drives, 3.5 inch, and the SSDs or laptop style drives, 2.5 inch drives, are more suited towards these mounting areas on the back, which are removable. So nice little caddies, so you can attach your drive and put them on there, which is a nice little touch. So easily 4 drives in there. You could possibly get 6 in there with a little bit of tweaking. There's lots of little areas or hidey holes where you could stash more drives if need be. Looking at the cable management, now I would have liked to have seen better cable management along this channel here. I've cable tied some of this down to keep it nice and flat. There isn't actually a great deal of depth here for actually hiding cables, so you do have to plan out your wiring in advance a little bit. You may find you have to do a couple of attempts at it. Now I've made my life a little bit more difficult because I've got the RGB pass-through, the single pass-through from the motherboard going into the all-in-one cooler, then splitting off to that to split off to the front-mounted RGB panel, and then also going back into the RGB fans for the Polaris. So there's quite a lot of RGB going on in there, a lot of splitters, but considering how much wiring is in there, it doesn't look too offensive in my opinion. Now, talking of the all-in-one, this area here, you've got a kind of like a coned area, so the airflow coming from the 120mm fans, whether you've got a radiator or not, is going to be channeled and to go straight out of the back of the case, rather than kind of not having anything here to channel the air and the air kind of swirling around in the back of your chassis, which is the last thing you want. Going on to another thing which I would have liked to have seen, or like to have seen more of, more options for the EPS connector, as I said, although you could quite easily take it around there behind the motherboard and take it around over the top, but I've chosen to just take it through the gap at the top and into the bottom. It's not great, but it works, and it isn't too much of an eyesore because it's at the top of the chassis, so you can't really see a great deal of it. I've tied down these cables here as the main power supply cable and the HD audio cable on that side. When I tried to bunch them all together into one strip, it was a little bit too thick and the side panel just wouldn't go back on. So like I said, you're going to have to plan out your cable routing quite well. It doesn't help with if you've got SATA cables, a couple of SATA cables, and also the USB-C, which is on the top of the case. The cables for that are good quality, but unfortunately with good quality they're quite thick. Even though they're flat cables, they're kind of a little bit bigger than normal SATA hard drive cables. So again, if you've got a few of those bunched together, you're going to try and have to plan out your route a little bit better. But the side panel does go on, it doesn't flex in it as it is like this. Again, I could have changed the wiring around a little bit more to make it a little bit flatter, but it works and it does its job. So that's pretty much it from the back of the chassis, so let's take a look at the front. Now the front panel is where things really do start looking nice. The InWin illuminated acrylic plastic looks fantastic when it's connected up to the RGB. It's designed for RGB. If you don't connect up RGB, in my opinion, you're losing out really. It's something you should look towards doing. So this is a perfect chassis if you're looking at doing an RGB build. Now getting back to the top, you've got two USB 3.0, you've got your headset and microphone jack, and next to that you've got your USB-C, which can give you, in theory, up to 10 gigabits per second transfer speeds if you've got an appropriate device to use with that. So that pretty much covers everything on the front of the chassis. So let's take a look at the rear. Okay, so on the back, not particularly interesting, but you're very rarely going to ever see this, so I'll not spend too much time on it. But obviously at the top here you've got your power supply, so if there's anything you need to do power supply wise, if you've got a power supply with any kind of settings or a button on the back to change the kind of the fan speeds and that kind of thing, you can gain access to it relatively easy. Again, being at the top, it does pose a little bit more of a challenge to builders if you're used to having a PSU in the basement, but for those of us who are a little bit older like myself, you're probably quite used to having power supplies in the attic area of a case, which has always been the traditional way of having them. Going down, you've got the I/O shield area, which actually was a little bit of a trial and error thing. There's only two guides on the side. There isn't a top and bottom one, so the I/O shield can be moved up and down a little bit depending on kind of your rear I/O, which I actually found a little bit off-putting because I quite like to put the I/O shield in and have it firmly in one place and then match the motherboard to the I/O shield, whereas this way round you're guessing a little bit where it should be, and then you can have a little bit of wiggle room after. Again, not a deal breaker by any means, and for some motherboards that have got built-in I/O shields, it's going to be a godsend because you don't have that specific cutout area, so you again have got a little bit of wiggle room to install it. Next to that, you've got the 120mm fan area, which you can put a radiator in here if you wanted to, or like I said, I've just put a fractal design fan in there. There's plenty of airflow there. Again, the honeycomb design or the hexagonal design really does benefit airflow rather than the circular pattern, and there's plenty of air coming out through there, which is great. Moving down further, you've got your PCI Express and PCI mounting area, and all of these are individual pieces, so there's no bits of awkward metal to bend off. There isn't actually any kind of bracing in between them, which you do have to make sure you've got them tightened up nice, otherwise they will rattle around a bit. But hopefully if you've come into some money, then you're going to populate this with two brand new RTX 2080s in SLI, so you won't have to worry about any of those brackets and you can take them all out. So that pretty much wraps up my kind of overview of this case after doing the build. Hope you've liked the video. If you have liked it, give me a like. If you didn't like it, give me a dislike and let me know in the comments what more you'd like to have seen about this chassis. Overall, I'm very impressed. The price is right, the features are right. It looks, in my opinion, it looks really, really good. Again, I'm interested to hear what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, this has been the InWin 101C. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and we will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.